Welcome back, guys. Week 12 of our season is in the books, and we have come away with a blowout victory against our division rival Rams. Before we get started, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications down below, and let's get straight into talking about what happened in that last game. From the first to the final whistle, it was pure domination on our end as we finished with a score of 40-13, and all of LA's points came after we entered our backups into the game. And why not start with the man who was not active the last time we matched up, Kyler Murray. He was truly unstoppable, as it didn't matter if he was tossing the ball downfield or tucking it and taking it himself. The Ram defense could do nothing to slow him down as he got some great production yard-wise and found himself in the end zone both ways. Now, our big day on the ground didn't stop with just Murray, as the pair of Corey Clement and Tyson Williams combined to get 75 yards themselves, and they each got a touchdown as well. Now, the last time these two teams met, it was Hollywood Brown who had the phenomenal breakout performance. And while he still had a solid day today, bringing in 4 for 46, the man who stood out above the rest was the rookie, Michael Wilson. On just 3 grabs, he got himself well over $110, with his best being a 54-yard touchdown, where he and Murray linked up for the deep ball score. Now, part of the reason we were so dominant on offense was that early on in the game, the Rams would lose Aaron Donald. He would be out for the remainder of the game, and the one guy on the Ram defense who did his best to fight back was the rookie, Byron Young. He ended up finishing with 5 tackles, with 2 going for a loss, one of those being a sack, and he also ended up recovering the late fumble forced by Eli Apple, who rocked Noah Togiai in garbage time to force him to cough up the football. But this onslaught did not stop there, as we completely shut them down on defense. Their lead back, Cam Akers, could not pass the 40-yard mark and just could not get anything going as they continued to drop him early. And their pass game was underwhelming as well. Matthew Stafford ended up with just over 240 yards in the day, with the majority of them coming in garbage time as we entered all of our backups at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And there were 2 guys who tried to get theirs out of this game, the first being Marquise Goodwin. He finished with 6 for 63, and he was a reliable second option for them today. And the second was Cooper Kupp. They tried to evolve him in a few different ways in this game, especially working him out of the backfield, and at the end of it all, he finished with just under 70 yards, and he also got himself a consolation touchdown late in the fourth. Their offense was so poor because of our spectacular defensive effort, it was led by none other than the rookie, Garrett Williams. He involved himself in so many plays, finishing with 9 total tackles, with 3 sending the Rams backwards, and he displayed some great coverage all day long. Another big contributor was our breakout linebacker, Zaven Collins. He finished with 8 tackles, with one of those being for a loss. The true story of our defense, however, was our ability to get to the quarterback, as we sent down Matthew Stafford 7 times. One of the biggest ones came at the beginning of the third quarter when it was L.J. Collier who fought his way home, knocked the ball out, and if it wasn't for a heads-up play by the Ram O-line, it could have been a big-time turnover. But the true dominance in our pass rush came from the pair of Clelin Ferrell and our rookie, B.J. Ojulari. They combined for 6 total sacks, with 2 of them being those in which they paired together to take down Stafford, and they had a monster performance all day, ruining drives, bullying opposing linemen, and shutting down the entire Ram offensive game plan. And one last shout out, our kicker Matt Prater was incredible as he accounted for 16 of our points today, and it didn't matter where he was sending every one of them through the uprights. After the game, we met up with our locker room leader, Colt McCoy, and he said, 1 win was sweet, but 2 feels even better. They brought their best and it still wasn't enough. And we responded saying it was a great job all around. You could see how demoralized they were. Even with 2 shots, they still couldn't take you guys down. And with that, the team is fired up and we have plus 15 morale to every guy on the roster. And along with that, we also earned 10 staff points. And with those extra points, along with those we got from the big game, we decided to head over to the coaching talent trees to go spend them. And we decided to pick up the final upgrade for pocket setter, which will increase the XP gains for left and right tackles, which will be huge for not only Paris Johnson, but also whoever we end up picking up to take over the opposite end of the line. And with our remaining points, we decided to get the Mentors Wanted upgrade, which will give us a 5% trade discount on players older than 30. With how well our young guys have performed, we want to keep some veteran guys around to help further develop them into the stars they can become. But as we advance the week, we saw that we finally get our first look at the playoff picture, and let's take a moment to analyze it. Over on the opposite AFC side, a team in which we achieved one of the biggest upsets of the year, and the Ravens clings on to that top spot, which currently has them with a first round bye. As of this moment, the AFC West leading Chiefs would be defending Arrowhead against the Colts with the final wildcard spot. The runner-ups in the AFC West are the Las Vegas Raiders, and they would head into Jacksonville to take on the Jags. And the 4 versus 5 matchup would be the high-powered Miami offense versus the stifling Tennessee defense. And over on our NFC side, it looks like the Cowboys, who steamrolled us back in week 3, still have a stronghold on that top spot. Our 4 versus 5 matchup has our division rival Seahawks going cross-country to take on the Bucs. In a very interesting clash, the Packers, who are currently leading the NFC North, would be welcoming in the reigning NFC champs into Lambeau in the wild card round. And as of this moment, we have earned ourselves the 2nd seed, which would land us our 3rd game of the year against our division rival Niners as they sneak into the last wildcard position. And we can now take a look at the news headlines from around the league for this week, and all the drama of playoff implications truly starts to set in now. In probably the most important game for us on the week, San Francisco and Seattle clashed to break the deadlock at 2nd place in our division, and it was the Seahawks who came out on top. Down in Atlanta, it was the classic Falcons versus Saints, and this time it was New Orleans who escaped with a victory with a mere point separating the two. Switching over to the AFC, we had a big-time matchup as it was Browns versus Broncos, and after an abysmal first half from Denver, they clawed back into the game by picking off Deshaun Watson 3 times and securing another W against Cleveland. And one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the NFL, we had the Dolphins heading into New York to take on the Jets. It would be Miami who escaped with a 3-point win and hold on to the division lead in the AFC East. And just west of there, we saw an AFC North clash as the Steelers traveled to Cincinnati to take on the red-hot Bengals, and they came away with a big upset win, taking the battle 20-17. And that does not bode well for us, as we now look ahead to our upcoming matchup as we take on those recently victorious Pittsburgh Steelers. Thus far, it has been a pretty lackluster year for them, but over the years, this is the point in time which Mike Tomlin tends to get this team going. But we have a chance at history today. A victory here means we give Mike Tomlin his first losing season in his head coaching career. But to do that, we have to see who we are matched up with. Starting on offense, they have a pretty poor unit, but their best playmaker has to be the 3rd-year back out of Bama, Najee Harris. He has been very productive since entering the league in 2021, rushing for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons, and is well on his way to making it 3 straight here. And one of their top receiving threats is Deontay Johnson. He has a very reliable set of hands that can do a lot of things well. The only true difficulty throughout his career has been getting a quarterback that can get him the ball reliably. But this team makes their money on the defensive side of the ball. And they are led by one of the best edge rushers the league has ever seen, TJ Watt. He already has a Hall of Fame career, carving out one that could be even better than his older brothers, as he already has 3 All-Pro nods, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and many believe he was snubbed of another after last year. Oh, and on top of it all, he tied the single-season record for sacks just 2 years ago. And behind him, the secondary is locked down by their superstar safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was brought over from Miami in his sophomore season, and he has continued the domination here in Pittsburgh, earning himself 3 All-Pro selections, with the latest coming just last season. The only negative on him right now is that he has yet to secure an interception this year, and he would love to steal one in this game. Now that we know who we're going up against, it's time to set our game plan for this week. Starting on defense, we are going to focus on shutting down Najee Harris. Kenny Pickett has done nothing to show us he deserves our respect defensively, so until he shows up, we are going to consider their passing attack a non-factor. On the offensive side, we're going to focus on throwing it short. We know that Watt and company are going to get home quick, so we need to be even quicker getting the ball out. If we keep it short with quick throws and avoid testing Fitzpatrick deep, we should have a good shot at closing this one out. And we are now ready to set our goals for this upcoming matchup. First, we want to hold them under 200 offensive yards. We know they're not the most productive unit, and with our defense coming off a massive game against LA, this could continue their momentum. Next, we want to get 300 plus yards on offense ourselves. We know this is an extremely tough defense, but if their offense is going to take us into the playoffs, we need to be able to take teams like this down in the regular season. After that, we're going to allow 14 points or less. When you have a poor offense like Pittsburgh and you are forced to rely on the run, it tends to widen down the clock and give you less time with the ball, in turn giving less time for them to score, and we would love to see that. And lastly, we want to allow 2 or less passing touchdowns. One of the main narratives is going to be that we want to test Kenny Pickett. He has done nothing thus far in his career to show us he can step up to the plate, and if he can't rise to the challenge, we are going to take advantage of that. We then proceed through our practices through the week, and thankfully we have no further injuries to deal with, and we did get some continued growth from some of our young guys. We start with our first round pick, Paris Johnson. He has done a phenomenal job protecting the blind side of both McCoy and Murray this year, and he further improved today in his pass blocking all around. After the first round pick is our second round pick, BJ Ojulari. He had one of the best games of his young career, proving his pass rushing abilities, so this week he grew in the pass coverage department with his awareness, man, and zone coverages, trying to keep him on the field for 4 downs and not be a liability in coverage. And lastly, our impressive young tight end, Trey McBride. And not only does he continue to be one of the most reliable pass catchers we have on the squad, but he also had an amazing week from a development perspective as he improved in his catching, short, medium, and deep route running, pass blocking, run blocking, and more specifically, his power run blocking. And with that, we have discussed everything we have needed to, and we are all set to look forward to our next game. If you guys enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on those notifications down below, and I will see you all next time as we travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers.